So I guess to start off, a la Dumbo, what is the worst nickname you've ever been given or called?
Oh God, I've had a few cruel ones back in the day.
When I was a kid, they actually used to call me Dumbo because of my ears. So this was very
They did?
tricky. Yeah, I know.
You've got larger than normal ears, but
Oh, thank
gorgeous.
you.
Yeah.
Oh, stop it, Colin. Stop.
Yeah. Seriously, man. They're so mean. Kids
I know,
can be so cruel.
Kids are the worst.
They can be so cruel. I had a few, the cruelest things that were said to me were in relation to my brother's sexuality. My brother's gay,
no.
and they were in relation to, so I was called the same derogatory words that he was called for his sexuality. I was called, and that, not only because it's just horrible to hear the venom that stuff can be spit towards you with, I also knew it was in reference to him, so I was feeling a double thing, so yeah, kids, man.
How do you deal with that sort of persecution or that?
At the time, he tells me, I don't remember, he says I got in a few fights at the time, I don't know, but sometimes you just had to take it on the chin and know, people's cruelty comes from them. It's very little, if anything, to do with the person that the cruelty is inflicted upon. It's all to do, unfortunately, that doesn't make things better in the moment, but when someone inflicts cruelty on another, it's all to do with them. Sadly, the way we are, the person who the cruelty is inflicted upon has to experience the consequences, and sometimes the consequences is just hurting and feeling pain and sadness and disappointment and isolation.
It's terrible.
It's most depressing yet. you got me.
Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Holt is a character that's dealing with a lot of trauma in this movie, but but it's also like a family film. So I'm interested for you, what is that balance between playing sort of the gravitas of the character versus this sort of tone, this family film tone?
Well, the rather kind of sour note we started it all on, and what I was just saying before, that all those themes and all those cruelties and that sense of isolation and not belonging and all that is in the film, but the beautiful thing is that in the film, it's not some wish fulfillment or shows you a world that doesn't exist, that it is possible for decency, for kindness, for inclusion, for patience to prevail against the more negative aspects of the human condition and how it expresses itself. So at its core, this film has a kind of a very real and very detectable and feelable sweetness to it. So if it was just all the other stuff and there was no way out, but it does have an uplifting ending, which is beautiful and again is possible because I think, our better aspects can confront and can defeat our worst aspects, but we have to decide that that's where we want to live, and I think that that's one of the beautiful things about this film is it is kind of the force of darkness against the force of light, and light prevails.
I mean, Dumbo is sort of the ultimate example of this sort of character taken for granted.
Yeah.
When you were starting out as an actor, did you ever have to deal with that, being taken for granted?
No, I mean, I had
undervalued?
Undervalued. The biggest concern for any of us, whether we realise it or not, is we'd say I'm not valued by the world, but the world's value, or the value the world puts on you, wouldn't matter so much if one knew how to value oneself.
Sure.
So. Nobody has ever been able to be as cruel to me as I could be to myself, ever. With that said, I had a very greased path at the start of all this, 20 odd years ago.
Yeah.
I really did. I went to theatre school and I had plenty of auditions I didn't get called back for and all that kind of stuff. But from very early on, I caught a couple of breaks and was very, very lucky.
Was there ever a crisis of confidence? Did you ever struggle?
Try a couple of minutes ago when I thought I'd brought this whole interview screaming down in a torrent of, self-indulgent flames and making things about my school days and how hard they were. Apart from that, no. That's the only moment.
How do you deal with this sort of crisis of confidence? How do you get by that?
You just put one foot in front of the other sometimes, I think just as the years go, you just try to perhaps try to be, less hard on yourself and not expect less, but live under less expectation, because the expectations we usually put on ourselves aren't really from us. They're from elsewhere, usually, a lot of the time.